In the very near term, looking at what the charts are telling me, I'd like to see Bitcoin hold the lower trend line of that parallel channel. All right, so just very near term, that's around 63,500 or so. And so you want to see that hold, and you eventually want to see a move up where it breaks out of this structure, this resistance line here, and even this upsloping trend line here, and then it can pop to that target, which we calculated out to be at that 71 to 72,000 level. So right now I am still a bull on Bitcoin near term.
Again, I'm more focused on the second half of the year and the fact that at some point here, the agentic side becomes really important for crypto. That's not going to be today's business. I do think the AI, what we talked about Anthropic, the AI trade's over. And let me as someone who basically has subscribers that pay attention to AI, it's not that AI is over. It's that the easy money of it is done. The ability of getting 7-8 times your money in that is over.
Bitcoin is standing on a line right now, and whichever way it breaks could decide the next month for your portfolio. Bitcoin made nearly $64,000 this Sunday, with traders bracing for Wednesday's Federal Reserve rate decision. Big money is already positioning. Options traders have bought around $2.5 billion in notional Bitcoin call spreads expiring July 31st, according to CoinDesk. A serious bet on Bitcoin climbing towards $72,000 once the Fed speaks. Gareth Soloway is watching one level closely, the lower trend line of the parallel channel, around $63,500. Bitcoin needs to hold it, break above resistance instead, and his next target is $71,000 to $72,000. He stays bullish short-term. Ethereum is telling its own story. Soloway points to a confirmed inverse head and shoulders pattern, followed by a rally, a pullback, and a higher high. Key support sits at $1,800. Stay above it, no daily close below, and the bullish trend holds. ETH has already climbed more than 8% in the past 7 days, and a confirmed breakout could carry it to $2,400. Solana is cooling off after a strong run. Soloway says $70 is the line in the sand. Hold it, and $100 stays in play. Lose it, and SOL slides back toward previous lows. Right now, Solana is testing resistance in the mid-$80s to $90 zone. Clear it on strong volume, and $100 comes into view. Fail, and $74 to $78 becomes the next stop. If you're new here, welcome. We're a small, growing channel, and hitting subscribe helps us reach our first 1,000, putting you right at the front of this journey with us.
And Bitcoin still has a pattern in it that to me looks like a cup and handle pattern, which then broke up and now it's coming back down. Now, if you were following my videos closely, I talked about the first challenge for Bitcoin being right around $67,000. Why? Well, because this pivot high is where we were going to run into resistance. It's just where it peaked here. So therefore, you have just psychologically or subconsciously investors a little nervous. Can it break through this and push up? And so far, the answer is it has not been able to. That is not entirely unusual. The bigger pattern usually is the more dominant pattern in the near term, which continues to be this sort of pattern. As we move up, we're now rejected. Now we want to see it re-attack this level. That's your next break point. So let's be fair. Until we get through $67, so 67,000 on Bitcoin, there's a question mark here. Can it push through? Now, the bigger pattern here over the last month or so tells me there is a high probability it can, but we do need to continue to follow that closely. All right, now, one of the things I'm watching here to kind of tell is if you look at all of these lows, they kind of all align. And what we could do here is we grab a parallel channel tool. And essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to be connecting these highs, right? And then drag it down to these lows. And so you have this short-term structure building on the chart of Bitcoin where you can see we went up to the high end, we pulled back to the low end. Then we kind of went up to the high end, pulled back to the low end, up to the high end, back to the low end, again to the high end, which was the 67,000 level. And that had the yellow line and it got beaten back real quick. And we're now coming back into this level. So in the very near term, looking at what the charts are telling me, I'd like to see Bitcoin hold the lower trend line of that parallel channel. All right, so just very near term, that's around 63,500 or so. And so you want to see that hold, and you eventually want to see a move up where it breaks out of this structure, this resistance line here, and even this upsloping trend line here, and then it can pop to that target, which we calculated out to be at that 71 to 72,000 level. So right now I am still a bull on Bitcoin near term. Mid to long term, meaning next 3 to 6 months, I'm still a bear, as I still think it eventually is going to collapse back down. But this is the beauty of being a swing trader, is that we have the ability to be able to play longs in the short term, make some money, and then exit, and then play the bigger macro pattern. Just like in a bull market, you can play the upswing, which is the bigger move, but you can also short and play pullbacks within that bull move in crypto. All right, so that's where we are here at this time as we continue to monitor. That again is something that I'm keenly watching. If we want to look here, and you guys were just curious about target wise, you have this trend line. This is kind of giving us the 71 to 72,000 level. And then also remember that we had that pattern formation, that kind of inverse head and shoulder here, or just cup and handle pattern. And basically what you can do here is you take this and you take the low up to that point, and then where you break out, that could be your best case scenario, which would be a little bit higher. I'm not optimistic that it's going to go there, at least in the near term. First, let's see if it breaks through right here. All right, so that's the thing that I am watching overall. As we branch out into ETH, let's take a look at ETH here. ETH again, beautiful inverse head and shoulders. We pushed up, we retraced, we pushed up again, making a slightly higher high. That's bullish. And now we're retracing again. This is your key support. As long as ETH remains above this line and doesn't have a daily close below basically 1,800, then this chart remains robustly bullish in the near term. Looking at Solana, same general thing. Solana has had a great move up, hit right into resistance, now pulling back, and that's okay as long as you don't take out. I'll show you the line I'm watching. This low pivot connected to this low pivot, drag that up. That's the level for me that needs to hold. If we break this trend line, you likely are going back down to these lows. You'll have this trend line as well that will be, somewhere down here. It'll be basically at those lows. But the point being is that this had a great reversal. Now it's digesting the move. Maybe it comes down here, but this is the line we want to hold, which is around $70. Then it can turn back up and make that bigger push to about the $100 level.
Crypto's easy money era just ended, and almost nobody's talking about what's quietly replacing it. Jordi Visser says the second half of the year could be a turning point as agentic AI becomes a bigger driver for crypto. The AI trade isn't over, he says, but the easy 7 to 8x gains are. That means future investments need to get more selective. Here's the twist. As agentic payments rise, demand for the cryptocurrencies powering those chains could surge, creating real value for token holders. Visser says it starts small, machine-to-machine micropayments from enterprise software systems. On Bitcoin, Visser stays firmly bullish, expecting it to move higher. But his advice? Don't fixate on Bitcoin alone. Watch the broader market. Why? Ethereum is already outperforming Bitcoin. Visser says that's the market shifting toward projects with stronger revenue potential, not just treating Bitcoin as a store of value. It's a subtle shift, but one worth watching closely. The numbers back it up. Spot Bitcoin ETFs just closed their third straight green week, though momentum faded near the end. Ethereum ETFs keep outperforming, pulling in over $100 million as ETH challenged $1,950. Two different assets, two very different stories playing out right now. Let's get back to the video.
Same thing I did with Bitcoin when it's been trading down here. I think it's going to go higher. I think the things people need to watch, and I've started to post more on X on this, and the subscribers who are interested, I will start a YouTube channel on it. I've been posting more and more the ecosystem index that I created of crypto. It took out the mid-June highs. Bitcoin did not take out the mid-June highs. Ethereum's been outperforming Bitcoin. All these things are suggesting that the market is starting to look more towards the revenue side of the equation, which would be more towards Ethereum and less towards Bitcoin. And that's a positive thing in the long run. And I think we're much closer to this. Look again, Doge, which was something I never thought I'd talk about, but I'm very interested in getting retail back into crypto. And until I see Doge break above, it's been below the 20-day moving average for the longest time in its history. Until we break above it, and we've run into it multiple times over the course of the last 3 months, until we break above it, I don't think retail is participating in this. And I think this is people just trying to stick their nose in a bear market trend, hoping that it'll go higher. I think it's coming soon, but Clarity Act needs to happen. If we don't get past on that, then we're going to go right back down towards the lows, and we'll have to go through this bottoming process again. You know, whenever you listen to someone say, how are we going to regulate AI? You can't regulate intelligence. Like, this is ridiculous. So the problem is, a year ago, it was very hard for me to say the network effects of crypto and not have someone roll their eyes and be like, I don't even know what that means. I will tell you right now, every single person on the hedge fund world understands what it means now. No question about it. It's not working yet, and I've seen this too many times. Investing and trading is about making money. Nobody wants to buy an asset that has no enthusiasm, no interest. Trust me, I remember Micron the first quarter of last year. So Japan put through major regulation last week on an acceptance of crypto and specifically of Bitcoin. South Korea, same exact thing. Russia this week. The reason I think this is important is there is a race now to the acceptance that, okay, Bitcoin's not a global currency. It's not replacing the dollar. What is replacing SWIFT is stable coins. Like, you can't get away from it now. Everyone's adopting it. So this is where I think your comment about this is performative. I actually completely agree. I just want the Clarity Act out of the way. If it gets done, I think it's a big positive. I mean, when you have the CEO of Goldman Sachs publicly come out and say, let's just get the Clarity Act through now, you're starting to reach a completely different time where they get tokenization is happening. There's no way to get away from it. I presented the New York Stock Exchange on it. It's happening. There's no way to get around stablecoin adoption. There's no way to get around the fact that the move that Stripe tried to do with PayPal, it's a big merging of the two worlds. PayPal's an old, boring company, the way you described kind of, you know, the way maybe people perceive at this point some of the public companies that are out there. But why did they do that? Because Stripe has the merchants and PayPal has the consumers. Like, you have to understand, we're getting to a world where we are merging these two worlds of the past and the future, and it's happening at a very, very fast pace. So I think crypto will be looked at as connected to AI every single day. And the US has had the ability to sanction people. It's had SWIFT. Everyone's going to want their hands on the new financial guardrails. This is a very, very important thing from a government perspective and also from an investor perspective. People have to be over crypto. It's way past the time of you not doing your homework and worrying about whether clarity gets through. I agree with you. I think this is something very important for people to be spending their time on because of AI.
Bitcoin is entering a critical phase as market signals begin to improve and new trends continue to emerge. While short-term moves may bring volatility, growing interest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and AI-powered innovation could shape the next stage of the crypto market. Staying patient, watching key levels, and following major developments can help investors make smarter decisions as Bitcoin prepares for what could be an important period ahead. Do you think Bitcoin is preparing for its next major breakout, or is more patience still needed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the latest Bitcoin updates and market insights. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.